So in this drawing, I can see that there is this PC, this computer block, or in some cases, what was a block. There's some that were exploded. And just to kind of highlight what will happen with this process, let's remove a couple objects. So let's remove a couple objects. Let's explode this part. Let's delete this. And let's see how well the search and convert process does. So let's start it. So from the Insert tab, I'm going to select Search and Convert. I'm going to pick this shape here because this is kind of everything that we want. And what it's done now is it's gone through and it's found what it thinks is a match. So right now there's 53 matches. If I look at the options, I'm not going to include text variations in this particular case. In fact, it's not even allowing me to deselect it because there is no text in the selection. And I am going to include existing blocks. So if the shape matches and it is a block, let's include it because I want to replace all of them. Now, using the arrows here, what I can do is I can actually step through all the found instances. So you can see it's pretty quick to step through. If you find one that you didn't want to include, you can just select it or you can select it. So you can quickly deselect particular ones that you don't want to include. Now let's just zoom back to the original and we can see that based on those changes I made, it was unable to find it. And you can see that there's no way for me to select it. So this was too far off for it to recognize it as being the same. Okay, well, let's click Convert. So it's going to go into the Convert to Block. I could either create a new block, so give it a name and pick the center for the block, or I can go and pick from existing blocks. So what this is doing is it's allowing me to pick from the current drawing. I could browse, like go out and pick one, or based on my block library, it's making some suggestions. So there's some suggestions from my block library based on a shape, ones that might match. Now I'm going to click Convert. It's just going to ask me if that's lined up appropriately. Looks like I just need to move it just a little bit. Now that we have that lined up, I'm going to click Convert. Zoomed out, but let's zoom back in and let's look at one of the instances. And we can see now it's been converted to a block. Now, so not much new in 2026 when it comes to search and convert in that aspect. Really what's different here is this search toolbar, which allows you to change options on the fly. You can see the instances, then you can use the toolbar to kind of bounce back and forth between all the instances. Now, the biggest change is the new option to be able to do text variation and define attributes. So you can see that all these rooms are currently labeled with a room number, but it's separate text from this rectangle. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this rectangle and this text, and I'd like to convert it into a block. So you can see that's found 99 instances. And again, I could cycle through and maybe there's some that I don't want to include, but it looks like it's everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click Convert and not go through the process of looking at them. Now, when it comes to the Convert to Block, I am going to create a new block, but I'm also going to include text variations and I'm going to define an attribute. And the tag, let's call this room number. And we'll click OK. I'm going to name this block room label. And I'll just use the geometry center because it's a rectangle for the most part. It's going to select that middle. Let's put this on this layer. I'm going to click Convert. Now, if we zoom in and we take a look at this, notice that not only did it convert it to a block, not only did it add an attribute, but it also took the text variation, so that text, and it actually sucked that in and brought that into the block. So it maintained that text, the room numbers, when it went through and created the block. This process without this would have been extremely long and extremely tedious, and you probably wouldn't have done it. Whereas now with this new option, it makes it super simple and very quick to do. So that's the changes to Search and Convert and how Search and Convert works within AutoCAD 2026.